Welcome back, everybody, to Lee County Unscripted, episode number 14. We are here with Jen Nelson-Lastra, council member from the city of Cape Coral. Jen, thank you so much for coming today and being with us and taking all of our questions. We promise it'll be fun.
Sure.
Can't be any worse than sitting up on the dais.
I know, right? That's regular fun every single week, depending on which person comes to the podium and what they're upset about.
What their bad day is that day.
Correct.
That you're just going to hear about.
Correct.
And you have to take it and be calm about everything.
Yeah, we do. And I always say on the dais, and I always tell my team members up there, like it or not, we report to the people. And whether they're mean, nice, nasty, ugly, horrible, great, loving, we still report to them.
Whether you agree or not.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
And we may not agree. And, but I always make sure during citizens input that I respond to each resident, especially if no other council member has responded to them prior to my turn. I just make sure that I address each one of them so that they feel heard. And, and if I can't help them, I'll tell them that, and I'll make recommendations on who can help them from staff and that they should get together and talk with them. So I try to be very open and honest with everyone that comes to speak.
Kudos to you, because every politician says all the right thing on the campaign trail, and they forget that the public is in fact their boss.
Correct. And they don't forget.
The public does not forget.
No, they don't forget. When I ran this last time, I ran for 2 years in a special election from the woman that was removed by the governor, who had actually beat me in 2022. And the big topic then was J.C. Park. And I remember distinctly going to J.C. Park because there was this entire group of like 5,000 people on a Facebook page and probably 100 people at the park that day. And I went to speak to them, and it was right before the primary election. And they kept saying, when you get up there, will you stop this? And I was very honest. And I said, if you, look at all the meetings and you look at everything that's been voted on, the last thing that has to pass is the day after the primary election. And that would be the P3, the public-private partnership, and it's rolled into the construction contract. So when that happens, the contract's signed, you're in a legal binding agreement. It's not like you can undo that. I said, so the best thing that could happen after the primary is that the council doesn't approve it. But having watched all the meetings and seen everything that they voted on, my gut tells me they are. So the answer to you, the short answer is no, I can't change it. If that happens, I will not be able to change it. And nor would I, because I'm not going to waste millions of dollars in potential lawsuits, taxpayer money. I'm not going to do it.
I don't think a lot of people that live in Cape Coral, or even here, like a lot of people relocate here, right? So they don't understand the dynamic of Cape Coral and the fact that it's pre-plotted.
Yes.
Explain that for the general lay person, because a lot of people are like, why so many car washes? Why so many dollar stores? Why?
So we are what you call a pre-platted community. And what that means is that in order for us to put together, let's say, commercial developments or commercial land sales, we have to undo it. We have to unplat it. We have to join properties together. So a great example of that right now is Bimini East project in Cape Coral, which is a lot of waterfront property. And the city spent about $40 million buying the old buildings and the land that all these properties sit on so that we can assemble it. Right? And it's, multiple acres, and we have to assemble it. So that's a very big challenge in our city. And the reason that's important is because when you have a city like ours, it hasn't changed in 9 years since I first met you, Mike. We still have a 90% ad valorem tax base and only a 10% commercial tax base. Fort Myers, for example, is almost 50-50. And what that means to you, the taxpayer, is that if you have a higher commercial tax base than you do ad valorem, or it's somewhere in the middle, you don't pay as many taxes. And because we're so ad valorem heavy in Cape Coral, it's a concern, because as we grow, we are 50-50. We're 50% working population and 50% a retired population. And so that's caused a lot of growing pains, because a lot of the people that came to Cape Coral years ago to retire aren't wanting all this development. And in the same breath, they're also complaining that, their taxes are increasing because of fees and assessments. So, I often tell residents, I often educate them and say, then you should support smart growth, because if it makes sense and it's going to increase that other side of our tax base, that's what we want. So it's a challenge, because in order for us to do anything big like that, we have to actually assemble the properties, and it's not easy. And then you got to rezone it. And then you got to change the land use. So it's a process.
I can't imagine going through all that and sitting there and hearing all the citizens complain about, you're ruining our town, but our town was pre-plotted prior to them even coming here. And some of this is due diligence that they needed to do prior to purchasing here.
And that's the importance of having a good realtor.
I was just
advocating on your behalf.
Yeah.
Well, and I wish y'all sold in the UEP, because if you don't, and I know you would be so honest, because we have so many residents now with the Northeast 2 going in. Their realtors never told them. So here they did buy a house 3-4 years ago, and guess what? Now you got to pay $36,000 to put in, city water, and oops, your realtor didn't convey that to you.
Right.
I mean, that's sad. That's unfortunate.
It's a huge deficit. And we actually have people that have said, I don't want to be anywhere near city water and sewer for the next 10, 20 years. So we purposely look in specific areas of the Northwest for them so that they're not anywhere close to it.
Right.
Now, correct me if I'm wrong. Did the map change of where the water was going, the projected times? Okay, so that's hard for people that have bought, thinking that they're not going to be on the city water and sewer lines for another 10 years. And now all of a sudden, 2 years, they are there. So I did not know that that the city was able to do that. So, in my years of selling real estate, I never had that come up.
Well, we only did it this time because if you've heard about the Hawthorne Aquifer, it was depleting. And that was the main water source for that area of Cape Coral for the individuals that were on a well system. And so what should have happened, shoulda, coulda, woulda, hindsight's always 20/20. 20, 30 years ago when those homes were built, a lot of them, they weren't dug deep enough.
Yeah.
The wells weren't dug deep enough. And so we had to swap that priority because that part of our city was running out of water.
Yeah.
And getting them on the city water. So we also purchased a reservoir up in Charlotte County. So that's what they will connect to. So there'll be like billions of gallons of water and no fear of running out once they're hooked in.
So going down the UP line, right? Back in 2004, it cost residents roughly about $15,000 to connect. Now we're upwards of $36,000, $38,000. So when we're talking about affordability and new owners are having to add that onto their tax bill for 20 years, that makes it exceptionally hard. Is there any grants or anything that the city can tap into to offset some of these costs for the residents?
Yes. So we just spent a week in Tallahassee, 4 days in Tallahassee, advocating for infrastructure dollars to specifically fund the UEP. The most that we've gotten in my time was, even when I wasn't on council, it was in 2023, I believe the legislature gave us $23 million. Sadly, federally, within the last 8 years, we've only received about $5 million in infrastructure grant money from the feds. So really the state is where our opportunity is. The sad part about our state budget right now is that it's going to be rough. We were warned by many state senators, by many state reps, that this is going to be a really tight year because the economy is so soft right now. And a lot of the quote unquote extras are not going to be funded. Ours is infrastructure, and I believe we asked for 10 million. So we're crossing our fingers that we'll at least get 4 or 5. But yes, we're constantly looking for those infrastructure grants. I meet a lot of the individuals running for the congressional seat now, and that's the first thing I say to them. What do you know about Cape Coral? Oh, and by the way, here's a list. This is all the FEMA money we were promised after Ian, and we are now hearing that the feds are cutting these dollars. So, and we counted on over, I think, 150 million of those dollars to fund our infrastructure projects. And now the feds are saying they're cutting them. So that's a problem. So I'm looking for a congressional candidate who knows our issues and who can help and make a difference, because there are a lot of infrastructure grants federally that I feel we could be getting. We just need to figure out how to do it.
the assessment that goes on the property, is it still around $35,000 per parcel?
Right now. Yeah.
And what does that equate to yearly on their taxes?
I don't know. Honestly, I don't. I remember when I purchased my home in 2014, my assessments were $17,000 at that time. And
so double.
Yeah. And it was $17,000 in 2014. And it's almost doubled, more than doubled. In less than, half the time, 50% of the time. So I know that Councilmember Kaduke, she's going through the UEP right now. And I know because her house is on one side of the street where the lots are bigger, instead of paying the $35,000, she's having to pay $37,000. So it's a lot. But again, we had to reprioritize because of the water supply.
And that doesn't include the hookup for the private company from the street
that's
to
separate.
the home. And that's separate on the homeowner. And again, a lot of realtors don't understand the additional costs when they're dealing with their clients and the advocacy. That's one of our biggest proponents as a realtor is advocacy, whether on the local level, the state level, the national level, but you as the homeowner as well.
And educating our homeowners.
Yeah.
Like, if you are somebody who says to us, hey, I want to sell my house, and you're in an upcoming area that's going to start construction, your value automatically goes down. Automatically goes down because the next person will get hit with not only the $35,000, but the fee to hook up, the road construction, everything, because it stays in that area for a couple of years before the construction is completely cleaned out of that area.
Absolutely.
So you have to think ahead when you're selling your home. Am I going to sell my home in 5 years, 2 years, 1 year? And what does the UEP, the utility expansion project is what UEP is. What does that look like for me in the upcoming years? Do I need to sell faster or do I need to hold on for a couple of years?
Talk about timing the market.
Yes, and then time in the market as well. Cape Coral is an amazing city. You think about like Cape Coral as a whole for real estate, you can pick that apart and put it in its own little market versus Fort Myers versus Naples. Yeah. And it is a very interesting market to watch. And Mike is the numbers guy and he pulls numbers constantly on our markets. And Cape Coral is definitely going down faster than other areas because it went up faster than other areas. Where are you going to go and buy a piece of land that can get you out to the Gulf of America? Like you can't find that for, under 600,000.
Absolutely not. I moved here from Northern California. I'm a native Texan and I lived out in Northern California for 5 years. It was a strange place. Was so happy to come back south and be in the sunshine and the heat.
Isn't it really beautiful?
It's gorgeous.
Yeah.
Wine country. It made me a wine snob. I mean, all of it, all the things. But when I came back, I couldn't wait to get back here, like in this area because of the weather, of course. And I love the beach and the beaches there are very cold. But I remember like going and I rented for 5 years. My daughter and I, she was very little. She was 4. I'd just gotten divorced and we were living on Thunderbird Lake, gorgeous, rental, beautiful rental. And I remember the owners back then, they said, hey, because I said, I'm going to be looking for a house to buy. And my big brother was like, you're throwing your money away. So I was like, okay. And the market was really down. So it was a great time to buy.
And this was 2014, you said?
2014. And I remember that I told the owners of the house and they said, oh, well, we'll sell you this, and it was on the lakes. It was 5 minutes out to the river to get to the Gulf. It was a beautiful house, had a boat dock, all of it. And they said, yeah, we'll sell this house to you for $300,000. And that was in 2014. And I remember like in my mind thinking, oh my gosh, this is so affordable. I could do it. And then I started thinking, and then I was like, wait a minute, there's a dock there. There's a seawall. What if all that breaks? Oh my God, I'm going to have to pay for that. And I started like freaking out. So I found a house that wasn't on the water, still adorable with the pool. I just remember, thinking, when I called my friends in California, they were like, oh my gosh, your house cost $134,000. We could buy 5. Exactly. And I'm like, yeah, you really could.
You really could.
And they would come visit and they would just be blown away by this hidden treasure, if you would. I mean, we have 420 miles of canals. I mean, we have a very intricate canal system. It's bigger than Venice. It's my understanding, Italy. And so it's very unique. And that's one of the reasons I decided to run for office, because it was like when I moved to Cape Coral in 2008, I remember there wasn't a lot there. Like it wasn't built up. And it reminded me of where I grew up, Northwest Houston in the 70s, like empty, just empty lots everywhere. And I just remember thinking, man, this place could be so great. And my piper, at 11 told me she was never coming back here, ever. And sadly, she's 20 now. She left a year ago, moved to Martins Ferry, Ohio. I was like, she called me the other day complaining, Mom, there's nothing to do here. I'm like, really? How's Cape Coral looking for you now?
Come on
She's
back.
like, I'm not coming. I'm staying. I'm like, okay. But that's one of the reasons I ran. And that's how I met Mike was, when you're so, I think you're so taken aback when you run for office. Like you never expect. Like I never expected it to be so personal and yucky and mean.
Oh, they're going to come for you.
Oh my gosh. I had no,
Every day.
My friend said to me, if you can't, my friend Heather Fitzenhagen said to me, if they can't find anything on you, they will make it up.
Yep.
And they being the people. And I'm like, no way. I don't even know these people. And it's true.
And now you add AI to it.
Oh, I know.
It makes it even worse.
I know.
You don't know what's real, what's fake, what's
And
not.
social media.
I was just going to say social media.
Social media has just taken a whole new, it's whole new animal in terms of politics.
It's a bully.
It can be used for that. I definitely use mine to educate people all the time. And that's one of the things I was going to say about, Mike being part of the Royal Palm Realty Association, the offices in Cape Coral. And one of the things that I just love about that organization is they vet candidates and they ask hard questions and they're all about advocacy. And that's what people in our community need, especially with our aging population, because when they go to buy a home or sell a home in the UEP, they need people who will advocate for them, knowing the issues and knowing what's there. And so I've always been very impressed with that. And social media has just taken on a whole new dragon's head, if you will, sometimes. And it can be used for good, but sadly, a lot of people use it for bad. I get screenshots here and there. I don't pay attention. I don't know if you've ever read that Mel Robbins book.
Yeah, Let It Go.
Yeah,
Or
let them. And I'm like, just let them. Like that's all you can do is just let them. If people have that much anger and hatred towards you and they've never even met you, then let them. That's all you can do. Just do you. Be true to yourself. So
going down the affordability.
Yeah.
You just got back from Tallahassee, and we were up in Tallahassee advocating. We had the Realtor Days up there.
Yeah.
And one of the big topics, as you know, is the governor's desire to get rid of property taxes. How... And you may not be able to dive deep because of your current position, and I don't want you to pigeonhole you. But...
I'll be very
it
honest.
becomes a cost of affordability, like we've been saying, right? If we get rid of property taxes, how are we going to be able to provide the services, the police, the fire, the utilities, without putting it on the backs of the residents? A lot of people believe that Cape Coral, for example, or specifically, are just going to add other fees and other taxes.
Mm-hmm. Well, right now we have to really wait and see what that looks like. The nice thing when I was up there, and I don't know if you experienced this, but we spoke to several reps, and I remember one rep, what was his name? He was from North Florida somewhere, and he said to our group, well, I think it's kind of a half-baked idea right now. And I remember chuckling and thinking, wow, okay. And he kind of explained it. And he said, yes, we definitely want to take away, the burden of the taxpayers. In our community, like I said earlier, we're 90% ad valorem. So, and out of that, and out of that, only 54% of those properties are homesteaded. So given that all of our police, fire, we have a fire service assessment that pays for the fire service, but all of our police, all of our parks and recs, our road infrastructure, some comes from the general fund, but most of it comes from impact fees or mobility fees now. So for us, it will be a challenge. And I am all about, like, when they said, yes, get rid of ad valorem, I was like, woohoo. And then I went, wait a minute.
Yeah,
how are we going to fund stuff?
Right.
And I don't ever want to say to residents, it's going to have to come from somewhere, but it will have to come from somewhere.
You can't make money up
No,
here.
Yeah.
No.
Like, you have to get creative and find a way.
Correct. And I think for me, what I want to see is, knowing that's a potential, I want to see really this budget. We're in the process of doing our budget for next year. Where can we cut back? Like where can we really tighten up? Because I think we have opportunities. I really do. I think we have a lot of opportunities, and we can still get things done, like our big projects, like the yacht club, like the finishing of JC Park, which should be done this spring, like Bimini East. I think we can still get those projects done, but I think we need to get more creative on where we can look at cutting back and where we can look at fixing things so that we generate revenue. For example, the building department. We have a lot of problems with permitting still. And although we've gotten better,
we should be an expert at that by now.
we're not. We still, that's the number one phone call I get a week from different residents, and they're all builders. And they've had my fence permit in for, 3 months or 6 months, or my pool permit in for 7 months. And it's just, we need to figure out and streamline that system, because if you look at the revenue that we generate from the building department, let's say back in 2023 to now, and granted, building is soft, construction is soft, I still think there's opportunities. And when your average time to get a permit was 4 months, that's not acceptable.
No. Not at all.
So that's something that since I've been back these last almost 2 years, that's something that I pay attention to. I am on the phone with the building department every week, and I'm sending permit numbers. I had a gentleman from Aldi contact me. He's building the Aldi out in the Northwest Cape. He's trying to get his temporary CO to be able to open, to be able to generate revenue, because
they just built that big building.
Yes,
they need to make money.
And then he says to me, well, the city says that we have to take down this, I don't remember, light post structure, whatever. That's going to be like $80,000. We don't have time to do it right now. And I'm like, time out. Who was guiding you? And that's what I've always said. We need somebody like a concierge, who's
like a liaison,
who can guide them through that process. And yes, we have staff that does that, but maybe we need to, when we have big projects like that, assign someone so they take them all the way through the process, so there's no surprises.
This is your advocate.
Correct. That's the thing, is the calls I get every week are, surprise, we didn't know we had to put this in. We didn't know we needed, this type of electric with this or that. They approved our plans as is. And, so it's been a struggle, and I think that's a great opportunity and a great example where we can fix something internally that will continue to generate revenue for our building department and be able to help our residents. And again, I don't like going out in the community and hearing businesses say, I won't do business in the Cape because it's too hard. I don't like that.
The other topic to bring up too was the ADU. Affordable dwelling units.
I'm a fan of those.
Yeah.
I'm such a fan of those. I don't care. I'll go on record saying that.
Okay.
I love them.
Why are you a fan of it for the city of Cape Coral, taking into consideration infrastructure and things of that nature that we're already struggling with, water, all those things? What do you promote about ADUs?
Well, first of all, you got to remember we changed our impact fees to mobility fees. So any new construction, we're going to be paying more to build something like that, because we're going to have to cover that hookup, that connection, the roads, whatever. It's going to be a higher fee to build than it was, let's say, a year ago.
Is it the same fee for a brand new construction home if you're adding an ADU to your property?
I'll have to find out. I don't know the answer to that question, but you'll have to pay those new mobility fees anytime you're going to add something onto your current resident, or if you're going to, obviously build something new or purchase something, you'll be paying a higher fee. So, for me, I just feel like from a viability standpoint, for example, my kid's 20. She rents a 2-bedroom house in Nowheresville, Ohio for $500 a month. There's no way she could ever find that in Cape Coral.
True.
And so for me, I look at it as we have an affordable housing problem. And as much as some of my teammates and some of our residents want to turn the other way and said, not my problem, go move to Lehigh, we have that problem. So for me, those ADUs are a great way to solve that problem, especially for generational housing. So, for example, my daughter, hey, Mom, I want to come home. Okay, you're not living in the house, but here you can have this little house and you can pay the bills there and you can pay me rent. Or, my 87-year-old mom who's, God love her, still kicking. She'll be 88 in July. I need to get her out of Texas and move her in. She's right there. She doesn't pay anything. She just lives there. So I think it's a great solution for that. A lot of residents, I've heard 50-50. They're concerned about the infrastructure or they're concerned about it becoming an Airbnb, which, you have private property rights. I mean, that's something that I have to remind residents all the time. You talk about, dollar stores or storage facilities or car washes, private property rights. If that commercial property is zoned commercial and you're within the use of what that means, that's your right as the property owner to build what fits into that use. So I just feel like it's a sensitive subject. I hear 50-50, but I'm a huge advocate for them because I think it's another housing option as our population ages, or the younger kids are coming back home and they need someplace to live and they want to come back home. I think it's a great opportunity.
Do you think Cape Coral they have to allow it because obviously it's approved by the state. Are they going to make it very strict in their enforcements of restrictions of has to be this size, has to be, this much money? Like, how do you think that they're going to work that scenario?
I think it will have to depend on what the statute comes out to say, but we'll definitely have to follow Florida building codes. We used to allow them in Cape Coral. And I think when I was on council in 2018, we said we didn't want them anymore. And I kicked myself because I'm like, what was I thinking? And it wasn't that I researched it, and I remember John Cariosha, God rest his soul, was on council with me. And I remember him, we can't have those. Those are going to be slums on people's property. And, I remember him saying that. And I'm like, yeah, we don't want that. No. But, looking back, it really, we used to do it. And I think it will depend on what the state mandates, and we'll have to follow whatever the regulations are in the Florida building codes and within our ordinance. I know that pitch was an issue, like the roofs had to match. At one point they had to be connected to the main house. So it'll be interesting to see what we do.
Because you all can make restrictions even harder.
Oh, absolutely.
You can go above the state statute.
There's a minimum standard.
There's a minimum. So you guys,
maximum.
so that you're not getting what people are afraid of happening.
Correct.
I understand multi-generational and stuff like that, but I also look at just driving in the town itself. If, let's just say 10% of the properties add another dwelling unit, what is that going to look like for our infrastructure? And this leads me to my other question, which I will let you go with another question. Have they thought, has the city ever broached the subject of flyovers on these main arteries that are getting
We're
clogged?
working on one right now. Actually, the state legislature is working on it. It's going to be, we're talking about another connector to 75 happening from the northeast off Del Prado.
That's been talked about for 55
I know, but
years.
we're getting movement on it. It's my understanding that we're getting movement on it from the state standpoint, and we need it. We need the Burnt Store Road corridor to be widened and fixed. Yes, because that's another main artery out of the city.
And you guys did approve. No, the county commissioners approved for it to get widened, right?
Correct.
Yes.
Correct. It's a county road.
Yeah.
And a lot of people don't know that.
Correct.
And so like Veterans Parkway, that's a county road as well. So
Correct.
you guys wouldn't have anything to do with that. But like,
No, but that road flows pretty smoothly, at least till you get to the bridge.
Get to the bridge.
Yeah.
I was like,
and the same thing with Cape Coral Parkway, right? So we own Cape Coral Parkway, and we were supposed to start widening that last fall. And I think we're starting this spring.
Oh, you are widening
We
it?
are. We're going to widen it.
Can you tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah. So it'll be starting from Coronado to the bridge.
Okay.
And, it's chicken or the egg, right? Widen the bridge or widen the road first. I thought, we'll widen the bridge first, because my concern is we're going to widen that road and then it's going to bottleneck.
Because people don't know how to merge down here. FYI.
Correct. Well, they don't, or roundabouts. They don't know how to use roundabouts either. They
Don't
scare
put
me.
one of those in there.
I know. I live right off of near 47th Terrace, and I used to before I hurt my foot, walk oftentimes to the farmer's market. And anytime I see God bless them, an elderly individual trying to figure out the roundabout, I stop, because I can't tell you how many times I've almost been hit trying to cross over a roundabout when they're stopped, but then they go, oh, it's yield. I don't have to stop, and I'm in the middle of the road.
They gas it.
Yeah. So I think that, we have opportunities for more arteries, but I know that the Burnt Store corridor was one that we've been pushing with the county, and that 75 connector. There's movement.
I talked to, I'm not even going to mention his name, but a former town manager back in 2017 about the idea of getting away from the on-street parking on Cape Coral Parkway.
Yes.
Yeah, that's going to go away when we widen the road.
Why
I said it
haven't
back
we
in
done that?
2017.
Yeah, I know.
Because that adds a third lane. And
You're right.
I was looked at like I was an alien.
I know.
And thankfully, that is a way to widen it. So now you can focus on widening the bridge. I could talk to you all day long about Cape Coral politics and Cape Coral and like that. But I don't want to lose the opportunity to talk to you about Dress for Success.
Oh, you're
yes.
so sweet.
Because the nonprofit work that you guys do, I don't think a lot of people even know that that's here locally and what's available to these young women and these young girls. So tell us a little bit about Dress for Success.
Yeah. So Dress for Success is very much a passion of mine. Having been raised by a single mom and then becoming a single mom, I was very blessed. I had an education. I got a 4-year degree. I had great job experience. And so I wasn't like other single moms that I've met who were teachers maybe and raising multiple children on their own. Workforce development has always been a huge thing. My grandmother used to always tell me, there's 2 things that can get you out of any situation. One is work and one is education. So pick which one you're going to do. I'm pushing you to do education, but pick it. So I sit on the board for Pay Center for Girls. I have for 14 years. And whenever I speak to them, I say those same 2 things. 2 things can get you out of any bad situation. And what happens to you doesn't define who you can become in your future. And that is so important. So Dress for Success, I was approached 2 years ago to be their executive director. And I said, give me 5 years of your financial statements. Because I've learned in nonprofits, you got to look at those. And I said, you have no money. The revenue's declining. You're not going to be able to pay me. How are we going to do this? No, we're going to do it. We're going to do it. And I said, yes, I'm excited. I took a huge pay cut to do the job, but I was so excited about that workforce development piece. So what we do at Dress for Success is we are able to take women who a lot of times are coming out of either recovery, and sadly, bulk of them come from the ACT shelter, the abuse shelter. And either they haven't been in the workforce ever, or they were in the workforce but stopped to raise their children and now they're forced to go back into the workforce. So what we do is we give them career development in the form of we'll teach them how to write a resume. We partner with Goodwill Industries. They'll do a workability class with Goodwill. They come back to us once they've finished it in the workability class. They learn how to interview. They learn how to make a resume. They learn how to job search. And then we dress them. They come to us. We ask for career wear donations from our community, which has been incredibly generous. And we'll dress them. We'll give them 3 outfits. They report back to us after 3 months after their 90 days, if they're still employed, they come back and we give them 6 more.
Wow.
So we love it. So back to, we had no money. I had to shut down the location that we used to have in Bell Tower where the founder had opened it because we didn't have, $5,000 a month to pay the rent.
Wow.
So I was able to I used to work for Goodwill. I had a long career with Goodwill for 25 years. And I went to my former CEO and I just said, John, I need your help. And he said, co-locate with us. I'm not going to charge you. We'll help you with your transportation and your logistics and just, figure out your next step. So we were there for a year. Meg DeLuca, who is the executive director for Guiding Grace, which used to be the Lifeline Center in Cape Coral for unwed teen moms. So now it's called Guiding Grace. Meg called me and I was there's so many times in the last 2 years when I'm like, I can't figure this out. I can run $1 billion budget in the city. I can run a $40 million budget for Goodwill, but a $250,000 a year budget. What is wrong with me? Like, what? I'm so dumb. I feel so stupid. So Meg and I would commiserate often because she kind of was put in that situation too when she started. Her nonprofit just was taken over by Guiding Grace. She called me and I was at one of those moments when I'm going to throw my hands up. And she said, Jen, I have space for you. And I was like, what? And so I
just got goosebumps.
Oh my God, I get to do my dream. So this was my dream when I started with Dress for Success. I wanted to create a workforce development program that actually provided on-the-job training. So what we're going to do is we're going to sell items in this boutique. And I'm working on getting a POS system, a point of sale system donated. The women that come in and we dress, I'm going to ask them if they want to trade. Do you want to work in our boutique? 4 hours a month, 6 hours a month, and I'll train you how to use a point of sale system so that when they go out and they start interviewing, they're marketable because they will know how to be a cashier. They'll know cash handling. They'll understand a cash handling policy. Like, it's my dream. And so we're able to do that. We open on Thursday. You guys are more than welcome to come. It's at 5:00. The address is 907 Southeast 5th Avenue. And we're around back, and we have about a 1,500 square foot boutique that I have been working with many volunteers in the community to get it ready. So we're super excited. But that's what we do. We help women. And when mamas and daddies are strong, babies are strong. And so we're helping the mamas get to work, get dressed, looking good, styling them. I have 2 volunteers that style these women and put things on them that make them feel good. And, when you look good, you feel good, right? Like when you buy those new Hokas or those new Nikes, you feel like you can run faster or walk faster. When you get your hair done, you feel, hey, I look good. I feel good, right? And that's what we do. We get donations from Thrive Cosmetics nationally. We get Elf Cosmetics, and we just give them out. We tell the women when they come, here's a bag. Let's go through. Let's fill your colors and let's get this. Wow. I mean, I'm hoping that I've had a makeup artist approach me about offering classes to these women to have them come back on a Saturday, train them how to apply makeup. I mean, the simplest things. I met a woman named Ryan who owns Face It Botox Bar, and I told her about this woman who came in who, her face had been broken by her abuser, like her cheeks. And so she had like dents, and Ryan was like, give her my number. I'll fill her for free. I'll do it forever. And I mean, it made me cry because I just thought, this is what it's about. It's about using your skills to help other women be the best they can be and independent and sustainable. So then they're not a burden on taxpayers.
Kim and I have highlighted a lot of nonprofit organizations in this community. And I don't think people recognize how many amazing people there are promoting and supporting these nonprofit organizations for these women and these men and the children in this community. And this is just another example. If one of our listeners or one of our viewers has clothing that they want to donate, where should they donate it to?
There's 2 places. You can take it to Goodwill Industries. They have an attended donation center off South Point. If you're facing the Publix, all the way to the left at the corner, they collect on our behalf. They're a designated drop-off. Or if you're in Cape Coral, come to the boutique, donate it at 907 Southeast 5th Avenue. And they can call me, they can email me. I think everyone in Lee County has my cell phone number, but you've got it. You can give it. I don't care. But yeah, and then come bring us your stuff. We would love it. And we always need volunteers. Volunteers who can help us dress women if you're stylish, especially the younger generation, like, the 30-somethings, the 20-somethings, because we get a lot of young women in there. And then I've got, my 75-year-old volunteer, and what she think looks good, they don't like. So, we have that. And I try to be the in-between because I have a 20-year-old who tells me skinny jeans are out, Mom. You need to wear mom jeans. I'm like, what? Is that even a thing? That was in the 80s.
Yeah,
but I guess it's back. Yeah. She came home she told me that very distinctly when she saw me over Thanksgiving. My daughter said, Mom, skinny jeans are so out. You need to get some other jeans. I was like, thanks. So I try to be the in-between, but I'm not that hip. So we always need volunteers. Always.
Jen,
that could be something for high school that need their community hours.
Yes. And
Styling.
we do that. We do that. And I had a group of girls from Bishop Furrow come and style some of my younger ladies, and they loved it. They were 17-year-olds, 16-year-olds, had so much fun.
We could talk to you literally for the next 3 hours, but we know you have somewhere to get to. But I want to say this, for the residents of Cape Coral, regardless if Jen is in your district or not, she's available to you. You're a resident of Cape Coral, she's available to you. So reach out to her. Even if you're not, try your own council person. If you're not getting the response, Jen's available to you. If you're a young woman or a young mom or somebody that needs help and guidance for the future when it comes to looking for work locations and clothing, reach out to Jen as well.
Thank you. Thank you guys for having me.